Hi students, in the last lecture we have seen the different methods of a initial basic feasible solution. So they are northwest corner rule or northwest corner method, then least cost method, then row minima method and column minima method. So these methods we have seen in the last lecture. Today we will see the Vogel approximation method, or we can say VAM, Vogel approximation method. It is also called as a penalty method. So why it is called as penalty method? Because we are calculating the penalty from the matrix and using for the giving allocations. So what is a penalty? Penalty is nothing but if we give the allocations, we are giving the allocation at minimum value. So if we give the allocation at next minimum value, then the difference between the minimum and next minimum value, that is nothing but the penalty. So we will see in the problem. So same problem we have solved in the previous lecture with the different method. So today we will solve with the VAM method. Okay. So for updates, please subscribe to the channel. Then here this is a problem. So sources S1, S2, S3, these are the sources with the supply 7, 9, 18 and D1, D2, D3, D4. So these are the destinations, and 5, 8, 7, 14. So this is a demand. So we can say this is demand and this is a supply. Now we will solve this problem by the Vogel approximation or penalty. So first step, we know that the problem is balanced or not. So here we know the supply is a 34 as well as demand is a 34. So we can solve the problem directly by the VAM method. So what is a penalty? So penalty is nothing but the difference between, so it is a difference between minimum value and next minimum value and next minimum value. So we will solve here. So minimum in the row, so penalty, that is for a row differences, it is called as a row difference, as well as we are calculating column differences. So column difference. So in the first row, if you check, the minimum value is 10 and next minimum is 19. So difference between these two values. So why we are calculating the penalty? If we are giving the allocation at 10 because this is the minimum value, but by mistake if we give the allocation to the 19, so when our product is going with the rupees 10, but by mistake we have given to the 19, so 9 rupees extra cost will be there per product. So that is nothing but the penalty. We are calculating this penalty with the difference between minimum value and next minimum value. So 10 and 19, so difference is a 9. So this is the first penalty, or this is a row difference, we will call that as a row difference. Similarly for the next row, minimum is a 30 and next minimum is a 40, so difference is a 10. And in the last row, minimum is a 8 and next minimum is a 20, so difference is a 12. So this is called as a penalty. Penalty is nothing but if we give the allocation by mistakenly to the next minimum value, then what is a penalty to us in the transportation. Similarly, we will calculate the penalty for a column also. So in the first column, 19 is a minimum and 40 is a next minimum. So penalty is a 21. In the second column, 8 is a minimum and 30 is the next minimum. So 22 is the penalty. In the third column, 40 and 50, so 10 is the penalty. And in the fourth column, 10 and 20, so 10 is a penalty. So as we have calculated the penalties for a row and column, so next step is check for the maximum penalty. So here 9, 10, 12. So in the row 9, 10, 12, and in the column 21, 22, 10 and 10. So we are looking for the highest penalty. So 22 is the highest penalty here. So we are selecting this penalty. Why? क्योंकि अगर ये 9 डिफरेंस आ रहा है तो हमारी 9 रुपीज एक्स्ट्रा कॉस्ट जाएगी, 10 रुपीज एक्स्ट्रा कॉस्ट जाएगी. लेकिन अगर यहाँ पे हम चूक गए ट्रांसपोर्टेशन अलोकेशन देने में, तो हमारे मैक्सिमम कॉस्ट जा रही है 22 रुपीज. सो वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन दिस 22 पेनल्टी. So we have selected this 22 penalty. Now in this column, we are looking for the minimum cost. So first step, calculate the penalties. We have calculated row penalties and column penalties. Then we have selected the maximum penalty. So this is for the second column. Now in this column, we are looking for the minimum cost. So here 8 is the minimum cost. So where supply is 18 and demand is 8. So we can give the 8 here, and this demand is fulfilled. From 18 we have used 8, so remaining 10s. So here this column is cancelled, so this column is cancelled. So similar method we are crossing this column. So again, now for this column we will not calculate the penalty for a second column in the next procedure. Again, this is the first penalty. Now by the same method we are calculating the next penalty. Now 10, 50 and 30, these three elements are remaining. So minimum is a 10, next minimum is a 19. So penalty is a 9. Again, now this is the second penalty, it is 9. Now next is 40, 60 and 70. So 40 minimum and then 60 is the next minimum. So 20 is the penalty here. And in the third row, 20, 70, 40. So 20 is the minimum and 40 is the next minimum. So again here 20 is a penalty. So that is 9, 20, 20. These are the row differences or called as a row penalty. Similarly, we are calculating in the column. So in the column, first column 19 and 40, same is there. So 21 is a penalty. For second column, we have crossed this column because supply is fulfilled, demand is fulfilled. So we cannot calculate the penalty for second column. Now third column, this penalty remaining as it is because 40 and 50 is there. And fourth column, the penalty remaining as it is, again it is a 10. So now 9, 20, 20, then 21, 10 and 10, these are the penalties. Now from all these penalties, 21 is the highest penalty. So we will focus on this 21. So we will consider this column, or we will give the allocation in this column, column number 1. So in this column now 19, 70 and 40, these are the costs. So 19 is a minimum cost where supply is 7 and demand is 5. So we can provide here 5, or we can fulfill the demand of 5. So demand is fulfilled here 0, and from 7 we have used 5, so remaining is 2. Again, now this column becomes 0, so we will cross this column, means in the next step we cannot calculate the penalty for the first column. Now from the remaining rows, now in the remaining rows 10 and 50, this value remains. So penalty for this 10 is minimum and 50 is next minimum. So penalty is 40. Then for the second 40, 60, so penalty is a 20. And third 20, 70, penalty is a 50. So here penalty is a 50. Now similarly we are calculating the penalty for a column also. So first two columns are cancelled, and now third column 50, 40, 70. So minimum is a 40, next minimum is 50. So 10 is a penalty, and here 10, 20, 60. So 10 is a again penalty. Now from this third penalty 40, 20, 50, 10, 10. So maximum is a 50. Maximum penalty is a 50. So we are selecting this maximum penalty 50, and we will give the allocations here in this row. In this 50 means in this row means at 20 or 70. So we are looking for a minimum value. So 20 is a minimum value where supply is 10 and demand is 14. So we will give the 10 is the supply here. So it will fulfill the 10, and remaining supply demand is 4. So this we have used all, so it will become 0. Now this row becomes 0. So now we will cross this row. Now we will cross this row, means we will not calculate the penalty for this row. Now for remaining values, again we are calculating the fourth penalty. So 10 and 50, so penalty is again here 40. In the second 40, 60, 20 is the penalty. Third row we are not calculating the penalty. Now here in this column, so 40 and 50, this value remains. So penalty is 40 and 50, 10 is the penalty. And in the next 10 and 60 is there in the last column, 10 and 60. So here difference is a 50. So now we are considering this maximum penalty 50 here, because this is a maximum penalty. So 50. Now in this column we will give the allocation at 10 where supply is 2, demand is a 4. So we will fulfill that demand by 2, and demand remains here 2, and all supply is used, so this will become 0. Then again we will cross this. Now remaining value are 40 and 60. These two values are remaining. So first we will give the preference for minimum 40, and then we will give for a 60. So at this 40, 9 is the supply, 7 is the demand. So we will give the 7 here. Now here we have used the 7, so remaining 2, all demand is fulfilled, it is 0. Now at 60, 2 is the supply and 2 is the demand, so we will give the 2 here, and this supply is used, all used, and demand is fulfilled. So this is a Vogel approximation method or penalty method. We are calculating the penalties. Now we will calculate the initial basic feasible solution of this problem. So here we have supplied 5 products with the 19 rupees cost. So 19 into 5 plus 10 into 2 plus 7 into 40 plus 2 into 60 plus 8 into 8 plus 20 into 10. So this is a total cost, and if you calculate this, so it will give the total cost is suppose 779. So this is initial basic feasible solution, that is rupees 779. So this is the final answer by the Ogle approximation method. We have calculated for the same problem by NWCR and row minima, column minima, and least cost method. So here we got the answer 1076 and 804 something. So VAM method gives the minimum answer. So here we got the answer 779. This is Ogle method or penalty method. Thank you.